What's up, Tiger Gang? It's JT from the Poco Moonshine family. This is Chatting with Carnivores, and today we got Chad from the Minimalist Carnivore. How you doing, Chad?
Doing good, doing good.
Yeah, man. I've been waiting to talk to you, man. We chatted a little bit on the phone, but for
Yep.
those don't know you, where are you from, man? Where you always go?
The Shaka
Yeah.
from Hawaii, from Maui. Lived
Maui.
there. I lived on the mainland before for a while, but then like most all my life was over there after I was like out of school. But my dad was a pilot, so I went back and forth there every year. So everything I kind of know, that's my aina, my home. Here's a funny thing about the Shaka thing. There's a
Mhm.
couple rumors about how it started, but the one that everybody knows is kind of real. A really famous DJ announcer
Mhm.
guy was talking about it, and there was a guy who basically worked in a cane, like a sugar cane plant,
Yeah.
and he lost his middle three fingers, got smashed out, and he was doing like a little train thing where he was like not like a conductor but a helper on the train. He would always wave at people, and since he had no fingers,
Ah,
everybody, so that's how that came about, which is
that's
kind of a
cool.
cool.
No, I love random facts like that.
Yeah, it's one of those
Yeah.
weird cool stories.
Yeah, it is cool. And where are you at now? Are you out in Maui now, or where are
Phoenix,
you at? Phoenix.
Phoenix, Arizona.
Okay.
So I was
So do
out
you?
barbecuing, grilling, not barbecuing. Barbecuing is different. I was out grilling today, and it was like 108, and you're like, "Oh, this is
Oh
hot."
man, and that's dry heat down by you, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I say, man, whether it steams your buns or browns them, nobody wants their buns cooked. You
Well,
know,
what
it's
did you
still
cook?
hot.
What did you
What's that?
grill up? What did you grill up?
Some chuck steak. Did a
Chuck
thing
steak.
on the sous vide that I do. Put chuck steak in the sous vide for 24 hours, and then put it in a pan. I'm going to do a video on it because I know a lot of people have asked about it. And it's like a carbon steel, which is kind of like cast iron, but
Hmm.
carbon steel pans I prefer because they heat up quicker and they're made for chefs. So they have it's like better handles and everything else.
It's
Some of the
carnivore
cast iron are kind of
approved.
short and chunky and heavy.
Yeah, it's carnivore approved, right?
Yeah. So do that, put a bunch of lard in
We'll
there and
say
then
it's
sear it
carnivore
up.
cookware. That'd be the
Yeah.
title of your video.
Yep.
Oh, that's cool. I've actually no, I've never heard anybody talk about the cookware actually that carnivores use. So that's actually uh,
Yeah.
very
Not too
interesting.
common. The one other guy, I'm trying to remember the other older guy that's doing it too. And he and I use the same cookware, which was kind of cool. It was kind of funny. He's using these things called de bouillie, these French chef pans, you
That's
know.
awesome. Yeah. You were telling me on the phone that you used to sell boards, all types of
I used
boards.
to have a bicycle, skateboard, and snowboard shop back in the 80s.
Yeah,
Yep.
boards. How
Skateboards.
how
Yeah.
did
We did
you
a lot of
where did your love
skateboards.
for boards come from?
I think just, an 80s kid. I'm 60 years old. So when I was born, 63, I was kind of right in that era, 17, when the 80s were just hitting and skateboarding was popular again. So got into skateboarding, was never that good at it, but I was really into bicycles more so. So I did a lot of bicycle riding. And so just did that. And then when snowboarding hit and took off, I got into snowboarding big time and actually ended up working for 8 years as a snowboard instructor. Bounced around.
That's
Vail
so
was too stuck
awesome.
up for me, so I moved back then. Went to Breckenridge, which was pretty cool. Then also to a place in Washington, Stevens Pass, where I worked, which was cool. And there's a thing called PSIA, Professional Ski Instructors Association. That's like the main teaching body of the instructors. And I was one of the first 27 instructors. They kind of took 27 of us and then set us out to basically kind of seed all these other, you know, big slopes on how
Mhm.
to do it properly.
That's awesome. And you
I've had
said
a good
you
life, man. I've had
yeah,
a wild life
scuba
that doesn't
instructor too,
sound.
right?
Yep, scuba for 15 years. Used to go back and forth a little bit. Had a really bad accident snowboarding is why I quit snowboarding. And so just ended up staying diving the whole time. Mostly on Maui. I spent 1 year in the Caribbean and spent some time in Micronesia, which is kind of just above Australia, in a
Okay, I was
place
gonna
called
say where
Truk
I've never
Lagoon or Chuuk.
wow.
After Pearl Harbor was attacked 2 years after, basically, the Americans went and sunk the Japanese supply fleet for the thing. And so you can go dive on it if you look it up.
Oh,
TRUK, Truk Lagoon or Chuuk is what it's really called. Wild. Like
so you know
you
some
can go up
good
and
dive
touch.
spots.
Well, you can go up and like touch Japanese Zero fighter planes.
Wow,
They're like on the bottom, like all shot up and everything. It's just insane.
that's
It's just so
wild.
wild.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Is like what are some of your hobbies as a carnivore
Um, this is a good one.
besides YouTubing? We know you're a hell
Besides
of a
YouTubing
YouTuber.
now, like I was for the last 20 years, I've been doing photography and I actually got into scuba to do underwater photography.
Hmm.
So I've always kind of been a photographer. I still do it, but I'm kind of getting out of it and putting my creativity into this now. And the other thing is still bicycling. I'm still a rider, so I like riding a lot and I like hiking. And
How long is an average ride or hike for you?
the hiking, I'm not really doing much of yet. I'm just kind of trying to get into it, and it's going to be more like overnight stuff, like ultralight gear camping is what I want to get into. The riding kind of depends. And because I was so fat, I wasn't riding. But when I
Mhm.
used to ride, I was on road, and here the roads freak me out because it's Phoenix. So I'm going to be doing more mountain biking, and usually just like 2 hour rides these days. Just have fun and go ride, and hopefully not crash too much.
Right.
You know,
Adam says, "Hey guys, 11-month fellow carnivore down 133 pounds.
133, man, that's awesome.
Wow. All the same results you guys have seen. Keep spreading the good word." Yeah, and you're down over 100 pounds, right,
Yeah,
Chad?
yeah,
So yeah, you guys can relate there, Adam. Like that's
yeah.
amazing, dude.
I'd quit looking at the scale at like 275 because I just refused to see that way I didn't go above it. I just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
In my mind, at least, it just stopped there.
So do you
I
use the
don't think I
measuring
broke
tapes?
300 though. I'm pretty sure I didn't. I think I was probably 285,
385.
290. I think that's, just kind of going off what I know.
What were you eating at your worst there? That what do you think was causing like what was your
Oh, 100% like carbs, rice,
carbs?
junk, cinnamon rolls,
So you like
pasta,
okay.
you
So there you
know.
guys go. If you're eating any of that stuff, that might
Yeah.
be some of your problem if you're having any
Yeah.
issues.
I was never a veggie person, never a fruit thing. The only fruit I ate is occasional, like, these things called apple bananas that are in Hawaii and pineapple. And we'd hunt a lot. I was in good shape when I was in my 20s and 30s there.
Hmm.
And we would go hunting. And when we're hunting, we get like strawberry guavas, these weird little things that are all seeds inside. Eat those sometimes.
What was that photo you sent me? Were you at like on a boat or something?
Probably, yeah. I don't think I have it with me, but yeah, I worked on boats, because doing the scuba diving. So I worked on boats. I'll try to pull up something even on my phone just to show something here. Um, so yeah, it was just sailing and, you know, pretty idyllic life for like a
Yeah,
guy
no, it
in,
sounds like it. Yeah.
from my 20s through 40s, basically late 20s through mid 40s, just working on boats. And it was kind of that thing that I know my mom had one time said, "Oh, you should go do the oil rig stuff, the deep sea, because it's big money.
Hmm.
Those welder dudes make insane money." I was kind of like, let's see, go hang out like on boats, maybe at that time I wasn't married, like girls, things, boats, Maui, or go on an oil rig with a bunch of dudes. No, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like,
Maui Wowie. Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
do that kind of thing. It definitely, you know,
Hi, Susan. Hi from Alabama. I've
Alabama.
never been down to Alabama yet. Yet. Tracy, hello from Canada. 68 years young. There you go. I like that. And on day 47 in
Yeah.
carnivore and
I'll
experiencing
show you
great
this just
results.
for fun. If this focuses on this, let me see if this will. You see that? You can see a skull.
Yeah. Where's
That's
that?
what that's what Truck Lagoon was like. Chug.
Wow.
It was like insane diving on
Really?
shipwrecks.
Wow. All
Yeah,
still there, right?
all still there.
We
And like just to
appreciate
give
you
you an
too,
idea, when I
Tracy.
say like what I used to be like, that
Yeah,
blonde dude,
that's the photo,
yeah,
guys.
that blonde dude right there, not the other guy. That
Yeah,
guy
there
is me,
yeah, with
and I'm
hair,
in my
right?
30s. I'm in my early 30s there.
There, yeah. I'm telling you, man, and you're still
So
in great shape, man. So thanks
yeah,
to
and I think that's
carnivore.
part of the problem that I had, man. It's like it's a weird mental thing when you gain that. When I was that in my 30s, then by the time I was 40s, I started having problems, and of course 50s it blew up. Whatever you want to call it, humility, whatever. I was like, man, I'm this lean, ripped dive instructor dude. Then all of a sudden now I'm like, looking at 300 on the scale, really close.
Yeah.
You kind of get this thing, whether, I don't know what word I'm looking for, but, it's
Did
just
you get like
this
depression?
internal humility of like, man, I let myself get this way.
Yeah. So it was a
So,
big wake up call when you hit that weight.
yeah, huge,
Did it like
huge.
stop you from doing like your snowboarding, the
Oh yeah,
diving?
yeah, yeah. I mean, I wasn't riding my bike or anything because you can't really, do much. So I probably had the issue for 12 years or something like that, where I, slowly got out of shape and just kept getting. Because that other photo you had of me, like I was telling you too, was my boy is now 14 and as tall as me.
Yep.
So that's how big
Mhm.
I was when he was younger. So I've at least had
Oh,
it, when he was probably 3 or 4 in that picture. And I was getting heavier there from before. So I would say 14 years I was overweight.
14 years.
And then,
Carnivore
like, literally
today,
in one
Adam.
year,
What's up,
man,
bud?
carnivore, 1 year down like everybody else gets. It's just insane. Like, the other dude who was posting is 133, in that, what
Yeah.
was 11 months. That's insane, but it can happen. Now,
Yeah.
my last bit, just to give the carnivore story, I'm at right now, I'm at like, remember we're talking about this on the phone, the cheese? It's like right
Mhm.
now I'm technically at 182. Whenever I eat cheese, I just go up like 3 or 4 pounds,
It kind of it stalls me too.
Yeah. So I'm usually at 178 all the time. And the first bit came off quick, but that last 20 took a long time, which was kind of strange. And I never thought at 60 years old I'd get down to that 178 because that's what I
Mhm.
was in that photo when you see me on the boat.
Okay.
I was always at 178 when I was younger.
That was your base weight.
Yeah. So the fact
Someone's
that I can be back to
asking,
that.
which island did you live on?
Maui and Lanai. I used to I used to live on Lanai off, which is or Lanai, but the island off Maui in the 90s.
Oh, I
But
got you.
from Maui, West Side, Kahana.
That's awesome.
Like, people on Maui are kind of weird about their sides. Oh, West Side.
No insanity. Hello. See if we 11 months carnivore husband. Good for you. Yeah. How
Hey,
long
it's my
have
buddy
you been
Matt.
carnivore, Chad?
Matt's on here. Yeah, I am going to be working out, Matt. I actually am right now. I'm actually doing it. My buddy on there, MBLY Life, um, he's going to go carnivore for me. I'm going to work out, and he's a good buddy of mine. But
Work
yeah, we
that.
got to get an elliptical. I haven't been working out doing all this, and I'm going to start working out. And I've been doing the elliptical and trying to do some push-ups and stuff. And the elliptical is kicking my rear harder than I thought. I did not think the elliptical would be that hard. And it's vicious.
Yeah, ellipticals are. It's not like a
Because I'm putting
treadmill.
it like way up. Like I'm putting it
Yeah.
almost to the max and then putting it on this course and just doing that like, hard hit kind of thing.
Yeah. Hmm.
And yeah, after like 20 minutes, man, my legs are wobbling.
Carnivore backwoods. Hello from East Tennessee. Hello. Kate says it's hard to wrap your head around your body changing and you can't take it in. Yeah, it's kind of wild. When did you really like what were some health benefits from you like when you got on carnivore that you really stood out to you? Some changes.
I would say the biggest ones are my allergies that went away. And I had really bad allergies to the point like when I was 27, I had anaphylactic shock,
Hmm.
kind of bad. And I would have like severe sinusitis and have to have, you know, a lot of meds and a lot of stuff just to breathe. So they were pretty vicious. So my allergies are like gone. Now, like if I go out and trim palm trees, do whatever, ride the bike, outside hard, even hitting bushes and stuff, like by the time I take a shower, my allergies are gone. And that was something I didn't even have when I was in shape in
Yeah.
my 20s and 30s on the boats because I still had allergies and I'd still have to kind of worry about those. But because I worked on boats, I'm away from all the, it was only like when we go hunting that I would get allergies and only on the rare occasion because Maui, I wasn't allergic to as much there.
So we can add that to the list for carnivore benefits.
Yeah. But for my
Allergies.
age, man, it's no joint pain. It's just like I
No
wake
joint
up and
pain.
I'm up and the sleep it's just all the stuff you hear, man. It's like you wake up and you're fresh awake and
That helps you
no
want to go
joint
biking,
pains.
right?
What's that?
That helps you want to go biking, right?
Yeah. And like now, because like a couple times, man, I kind of destroyed my front wheel. I got to get a new set of hoops on it. And a
Are we
couple
going,
times
like,
I've crashed pretty
crazy on
hard,
it?
and I'm actually amazed that I've crashed that hard and been okay at my age.
Yeah. Well, carnivores, they like to we like to get crazy on the bikes, right?
Yep. Yep.
I'm 7 days
Hey,
in,
Nicole.
just finished a juicy steak for dinner. Andre, good for you, bud. And yeah, man, like, enjoy those steaks. Like, that's the way you were supposed to be living, you know?
I'm gonna post this.
Former fat girl, what's happening? Former fat girl. Hello, JT and Chad. Okay, Northern VA. Nice, nice. Yeah, make sure you guys
Yep.
go over. Let's just pull up Chad's page quick here, okay? I want to present here. Oh, right here. Let me share this. You guys make sure you check out his page. Right now it looks like I'm not subscribed. I'm just not signed in, Chad, but this is his
Yeah, no
page.
worries, bro.
This is his page, and make sure you check it out, guys. He's got a lot of fun videos.
Yeah,
A lot of
just
very
starting up, doing well. I'm happy with how it's going so
oh
far for just being a month in, and I'm at 4.3.
yeah,
So
you're killing it. So let's try to get him up to 5,000, guys. Hit the sub button and do yourself a favor too. He's a very entertaining guy with a heck of a story, like heck of a life, man. I've never even been
yeah,
to Maui, man. I can't even
yep.
imagine.
I've
Like,
got I've
now I'm
got
a
some.
connoisseur of air after my sleep apnea is gone. So like,
Yeah,
I'd like to smell some of that Maui air, you know? So what
yeah.
exactly, how did you find Carnivore? Like, how did you get a hold of it?
A photographer buddy of mine, because I shot weddings when I was on Maui working besides the scuba. About partway through when I got married,
Hmm.
um, you can't support a family on a scuba instructor salary. No way. So I started back into my photography and went, and did commercial advertising and weddings because Maui and weddings are just, the biggest thing out there.
Hmm.
So I had a good wedding photographer friend from California, and we had known each other like 10 years. And he was the same as me, man. He just ballooned up to this huge dude that was like 278, 280, whatever. And he was like, man, I found this thing called keto and it's working really well. So I was like, okay. So I got into the keto and I just put up a video on that that's like a day old. And I went back in my Gmail, which is weird. It was longer ago than I thought because I used to email myself recipes because then I just
Hmm.
use tags in Gmail to make it like a database because, then you can just type in the tag that you want and find it.
Yeah.
And it was December 2018 that I started keto.
Hmm.
So that was a while ago.
Yeah.
And so I did keto for like a year and it just never really did it for me. It was just, there was too much junk in keto. And my buddy, the same guy who got into keto, then like he's like, dude, I found this thing called carnivore and it's wild. It's really working. So I was already kind of used to him, steering me straight and good info. So then I just said, yeah, and jumped into it. And it was an easy jump because I was already doing the keto. So I had no flu or no anything else
Hmm.
and could do it. But the keto for a year, I never really moved the needle, man. I was still the same size, wearing the same clothes and having the same issues. And I had 1 month stall out in carnivore where just nothing happened. And then that next month, like everything happened. I think I lost like 20 pounds that 1 month
Wow.
immediately. And
My
then,
wife just
went,
finished her 30 days and she lost 25 in 1 month, so almost a
yeah.
pound a day.
And
It's
it's
wild.
insane that you can do that,
Yeah.
and it
Hey,
wasn't
Sean
like,
Eagle has
oh,
a
that's just,
question for you if you got
what's that?
time. Sean Eagle here has a question for you. He said, "Is
Yeah.
it possible to lose weight with no exercise?"
I did not exercise during the whole time. All I did was normal movement stuff. Big gamer, so I did this a lot,
Yeah, there you go. I'm a gamer too. Yeah.
you know.
So there you go. Like,
So
you don't have to go crazy with exercise on this
no, I
diet.
didn't do exercise, and I am exercising with intent now this year. When I hit 60, I said, okay, my next goal for the next like 3 years is just to really push my body, see what I can do, and see what kind of shape I get in. And honestly, yeah, too, at the same time, man, it'd be good content because if you can watch a 60-year-old dude like me get in really good shape or not, we'll see what happens, but I will.
No, you're in great shape. I'm telling you, man.
Yeah. And I'm already, like I said, pretty good. And I don't think I look 60, like
No.
So, and I don't have that attitude of a 60-year-old. I know that. I still got that island gamer kind of vibe.
Sean, 58 years old.
Nice.
Yeah. What does your daily eating look like on carnivore? What do you typically? What's a typical
I
day
like
for you?
OMAD, but I have no gallbladder, so I got to work around that. And it's taken me a long time to kind of figure it out. So I know how to work around it.
Hmm.
But I test. I'm kind of one of those like a self-made guinea pig out of myself. So I test everything. Um, my typical day, like today, I got up at around 5ish and I ended up eating early because I just got hungry earlier. So I ate about 11:30.
Hmm.
But I tend to eat about 8 hours after I get up, sometimes 10. And it was like about 2 pounds of chuck steak. I eat chuck steak probably 5 days a week. And then I try to have ribeyes 1 or 2 times a week if I can, just trying to save the money.
Hmm.
My boy, 14, I'm trying to get him to do carnivore, but he doesn't like chuck steak. He just wants
No.
ribeyes. So I'm like, well, I can't quite afford to just feed you ribeyes every day at 14 years old and wanting to pound down two of them.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's he'll come around to it. Give him some time,
Yeah.
right?
He likes flat meat a lot and he likes, taco meat. So that's good. I just got to get him to not use the tortilla.
Yeah. Like that was tough for me to give up the tortilla, man. Like I
Hey,
did
Bible
it, but
reading bear. I love that name. I
from
see
Southern
that on there.
Illinois, 57 on the 26th. Okay. Feeling cruddy today because I had a piece of coconut cake I made for my dad's B-day. He turned 90 yesterday. Wow, congrats to your
Wow,
dad
that's
turning
cool.
90. But yeah, just
You know
just get
what?
back up if you fall back down like a
Here's what
little
I
kid.
say, man. Every year I have 2 bites of my kid's birthday cake. So I have 14 and 19-year-old. I have 2 bites. I don't want any more. So I could have a whole piece,
Hmm.
but I just don't want to. So it's just not the thing. I wouldn't even call that cheating. I'd just say next time, just have a thin little slice to commemorate, a birthday.
Hmm.
Have
Especially
two, three
90th
bites, four
birthday.
bites, whatever you want to do.
Hmm.
And don't even think of it as a cheat. Just think of it as like, hey, man, this is, because trust me, man, like 4 bites of something over your lifetime like this ain't going to do anything. That's my view. And I know other people view that way the same.
That's cool. What about Danny here? Do you got any advice for him? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. We'll see here, Danny. He says his wife has had a lot of issues in the past with acid reflux and took tons of antacids. She also doesn't have a gallbladder. How can I help her out with transition to carnivore? Any tips?
The acid reflux, I know the carnivore does help massively. I've heard that from like Chafee and Barry and other people. The gallbladder is a tough one because when you go over, you go over and you know it, you know. But I tried ox bile and that didn't work for me. There's another thing called TUDCA, TUDCA. Look into TUDCA. It basically helps the liver produce bile. It's not as much as like a replacement bile, but it helps the liver do it, where ox bile is more like liver in encapsulated form.
Hmm.
So the TUDCA might work and help with that. That would be something to do. The other thing that works for me, but I don't like it, is eating like 2 or 3 smaller meals spread out over a few hours. So like even if you ate like every 2 hours a smaller amount and do that. And like when I used to eat a lot of butter, if I would have my main meal and then wait an hour and then have some butter, like a tablespoon, and then more and then more, and spread that out, because your liver is still going to produce the bile. It just doesn't go into the gallbladder and get pumped out all at once. So that's something about the gallbladder that, some people have had it out kind of know because they learned about that, but your liver is still producing bile. It's just on a constant drip rather than going in that storage tank. So if you can put your food through, if you think about it, when it's dripping in there like that, that kind of helps. The other thing that I'm testing right now, and it's working, I'm amazed it's working, is A2 dairy aged cheese. And A2 is a different, I think, like lactase base in the cows. And most all the Europeans, except for the Spanish cows, are A2 naturally. So if you get like Parmesan cheese that are aged, they're naturally A2. And that's been working really well. And the same thing, have her cut out dairy completely, see if that works. Bring in just like the aged A2 dairy in cheese form, see if that works. Calcium in the cheese acts as a binder, and that's why people get constipated on it.
Hmm.
And to me, I think that's probably the calcium that's kind of binding, and and slowing down the whole digestive system, and it's working really well. So I think those tips would be pretty solid.
What were some of your biggest challenges on the carnivore diet when you first started? Like, did you have any big hiccups?
I don't think I did too much. I think, if anything, it was like we were talking about, that I did too many of the keto snack ideas coming over, like the chaffles. And I even told you, I think they're good for people, though, that need to have like a bread cure for that first 6 months, man. If you're like a bread addict, and chaffles are just, you take pork rinds, crush them up, mix them with an egg. I never did the baking powder. I never did the other stuff. Because I did keto so long, I told myself if I come into carnivore and I cheat on anything carnivore, I'm only going to fall back to keto, but I never really had to. So to me, like some of those cheats are handy, like making the chaffles, like I was telling you, like throw pepperoni and mozzarella and you kind of have this pepperoni pizza flavored one.
Mm-hmm.
Throw bacon and cheddar in there and you kind of have this bacon cheddar thing. You can put it on a burger and kind of have a bun if you're just like, so addicted to like, I gotta have a cheeseburger that's with a real bun. That might get you through. It's like a couple of those little things. My problem was I kept those going too long. I kept them going through the year rather than kicking them early. That was really my main problem. And I found chicken went away at 6 months and pork went away at 1 year. It just became dead to me. It wouldn't satiate me. It wouldn't fill me up. It just, so that kind of went away. And the one video I kind of talk about it too, over the 3.5 years I've been doing this carnivore, I used to eat a lot of meats. Like, I'd have hanger steak, or oh, cool, that's so rare to get, then I'd have tri-tip and I would do it this way. And I'd have all these other things. And these days, I'm really just down to chuck roast and ribeye, and I don't really care about other things. I occasionally have short ribs, like the
Mm-hmm.
beef short ribs, because I like
Yeah.
those. An occasional flat meat, because my boy loves it, so it's always around, and I'll have that. But other than that, I don't even feel like I need to do it. My buddy on here, Matt, is like, was saying, though, I got to try the New York Wagyu one time because that's better than the ribeye because those are so fatty. So one day I'll have to try that.
Yeah, I've
But
never
otherwise,
tried
even like
that.
regular New York steaks, I just skip them because they're in the price range where, like if a ribeye is here and chuck is here, the New York is right here. And I would rather just eat like a bunch of chuck and a
Mm-hmm.
ribeye that I like more, you know what I mean? And just skip those kind of middle meats. So I
Yeah.
think having that spectrum. And ground, I don't really, I eat ground, but I just don't like it as much as regular meat. And because it's so close in price to chuck steak when chuck's on sale, I just prefer eating chuck meat. So I do eat ground, but I don't go out of my way to get it and eat it. And I can't
Oh.
eat eggs because I'm allergic to the egg whites,
Mm.
which is a bummer because I like eggs and I like the flavor and they're
Yeah,
great nutrition. And they're so handy as a base, man, when you
they
mix them
are.
up with things. You can
Mix
do
them with
so much with
anything.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you got? Could you give 3 tips to anybody who's just starting out on their carnivore diet?
Um, I would just say the same thing about falling or like, doing something. I always say, man, watch a baby walk. They fall like 300 times a day and they're
Mm-hmm.
always laughing when they do
Yeah,
and they get right back up.
that's true.
So this whole like, oh, I failed and, kicking yourself for it. Don't just, you've been failing, you're not failing or falling, but whatever the word you want to use is, that you messed up. You messed up all the way till you started that diet.
Yeah.
So who cares if it's one more little, like you're not failing the day. You're failing what for the 5 minutes you ate that thing.
Mm-hmm.
So just ignore it, go from there and move on. Don't think you reset the clock. You didn't. If you're 27 days in and you ate something stupid, you're still 27 days in. Tomorrow's still going to be day 28. So don't even get
Yeah.
into this mental counting. Just keep moving on. I would say that's the biggest tip. Quit doing that. I would say the second biggest tip is if you're eating these carnivore snacks like pork rinds and all these things, just think about reducing those quite a bit because it's kind of empty filler.
Mm-hmm.
Eat like you've heard this before a million times. Eat when hungry, eat till satiated, and you probably won't need the snacks. If you've got to top up, keep a whole bunch of hard-boiled eggs in the fridge because when you open the door, and Ken Berry said this before too, if you open the door and look and think, that doesn't look good, that doesn't look good, no, you're not hungry. You're just grazing. But if you look in and go, I'm so hungry, hard boiled eggs, I'll eat them. That's when you know you're hungry. You can grab them, and the peeling and eating them kind of slows you down on that. So you don't just, quickly binge like you would on cheese. You don't just take a big chunk of cheese and binge on
Yeah.
it. So I think that's a safer bet. And I would say the third one, because like I'm going to say that, like the grazing and using eggs, hard boiled eggs, and there's the number two. So to
Hmm.
concise that. The number three is try to reduce dairy. I'm not against it. It's carnivore, but it's a problem.
Hmm.
Everybody knows it. JT does, man. It can slow your weight loss down. It can do things. And I was consuming way too much. So really try to control your dairy big time.
That's
Those would
great.
be my top three.
That's great. I hope you guys are taking notes and
I did
definitely.
see somebody as I was scrolling through looking at this. I got to get better at looking at this stuff. About somebody buying the carbon steel pans.
Let's see here.
I saw a thing in there with the carbon steel go by, and that's what I use. Like I said, man, the carbon steel pans rock.
Well, this is
Like I said, I have,
cast iron.
yeah, cast iron's good too, but I thought I saw carbon steel that somebody had bought carbon.
Yeah, if anybody's got carbon steel, let us know in the. Let us know what you
Yeah.
guys.
And I like, cast irons too. It's kind of indifferent. I just like, again, I like the lighter weight of carbon steel. I like the fact that it reacts quicker when you're cooking
Hmm.
because it's going to heat back up quicker and it's going to be able to reduce the heat when you pull it quicker. And that's why they're used more like by high end chefs.
Do you use a air fryer at all?
I don't. I have one in the oven, like a Breville oven, but I tried it one time and it's way too messy. But we just use a Breville oven for daily cooking for the kids.
Hmm.
And not the bucket kind that everybody uses. I do have an instant pot that I use, and then I use the sous vide, and I cook probably 99% of my meals outside because I hate the mess inside.
Yeah.
And outside, I just have one of those cheap 3 burner Camp Chef stoves. I'm sure so many people have seen that, and it's like 30,000 BTU.
Hmm.
So it's awesome because you can just superheat it and get like, insane searing when it's that hot that
That's
you
awesome.
can't get inside.
Yeah, I was wondering where did you get your channel? Like, how did you come up with that? What inspired the minimalist carnivore?
I'm kind of like a minimalist guy. I mean, a lot of my life, when I met my wife, I was 34 and my place was 420 square feet
Hmm.
and I could pack my whole life into 3 bags. So I literally lived out of 3 bags until I was like 30 something years old, 3 bags in a bike box.
Wow.
And even today, like if you look at my drawer, like upstairs, I can't remember, maybe I actually have 7 or 8 shirts, but I only have like 6 or 7 summer shirts and 4 pair of shorts, but 2 are the same and 2 are the same. So I kind of rotate them when I find one thing. And my 2 pair of shoes are the same shoes. And then my winter set is like 6 shirts, and that's it. And then 2 pair of pants that are identical once again. And that's pretty much it. So, and if I had my way, just because you kind of buy stuff as it wears out, I would really be that person that just has 7 of the exact same shirt and no variants. I would love that. I hate the choice of what I'm going to put on.
No, I like
So
going.
truly a minimalist. If you look up the
Yeah.
terms, you've seen people that are like that. Like, we got a lot of junk and things in the house because kids, but my stuff is very, very minimal. And it fits in with the diet, man. You know,
Yeah. It is.
it's
You
like I
don't
eat
need much.
everything with chopsticks because I just prefer them. So I just cut the meat up into chunks, eat with a chopstick. They wipe off clean, put away clean. I eat off the cutting board. I have my own cutting board. So when I cut my meat, it's right there, done. So when I'm done outside, I'm technically just cleaning one pan because the sous vide doesn't get dirty. So I'm cleaning one pan, one knife, pair of chopsticks, and a cutting board, and that's it.
So the cleanup is much quicker.
Way quicker. Yep.
That's awesome. Yeah. And you mentioned I got my notes. Could you let people know you had Vogue?
Well, that's what got me sick. I wouldn't be here off the Hawaiian Islands probably. Although that recent Lahaina fires, if you guys know in the
Yeah.
audience about the Lahaina fire,
Hmm.
I live less than 5 miles from there. So it hit me pretty darn hard because we know people there and we've been kind of contacting some people there and it's a mess. I hate the whole political system of the island. I hate the whole politics of, it's a mess. That's just something I hated. But the Hawaiians never cared. They just kind of stay out of that. Nobody cares. Everybody gets along.
Hmm.
So the VOG thing is basically sulfur dioxide from the volcanoes going off. And because I have bad allergies, I think it's like the straw that broke the camel's back. I got to a point where I was like coughing and passing out daily and I couldn't breathe.
Oh,
So found a good pulmonologist, I guess is what they're called, like a lung specialist. And she was like, look, here's your choice. You can stay on all these steroids and try to keep your lungs open, or you move. That's your choice. Because volcanologists don't wear gas masks for a fashion statement. So move. Once I had it and I started talking to friends, it's like you buy a blue VW thinking nobody has this, and then you see them all over the place. So once
yeah.
I said, yeah, I've got this problem with the VOG thing, and they're like, oh yeah, my cousin's got that. Oh yeah, my brother's got that. Oh yeah, my whatever, my friend's kids got that.
Wow.
And then I found out that bronchial related deaths are 3 times in that state of any other state in the nation.
Wow.
So, and it was something like 42% of kids in school use inhalers when the volcanoes are going off,
Mm-hmm.
and they call it environmental asthma.
Wow.
So yeah, it was bad. So I basically had to move.
Yeah, I had never
Otherwise, I'd
heard of
still be
VOG.
probably like work. My goal was to keep doing the scuba thing. I had all my hours in for what we call a ticket, a captain's license, and I had enough. If anybody's into boating, I had enough to get like a 100-ton open ocean, which is a pretty good size certificate. So, and most dive boats are never over 100 tons. Most of them are anywhere from 30 to 70 ton. So I would have been able to write my ticket anywhere I wanted, anywhere, and been a captain of boats because I was starting to drive the boats too toward the end.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm telling you, you've done just about everything. Now,
Yep.
you told me in my notes here, you used to be a big coffee drinker. How big?
Hardcore.
Yeah, hardcore. Like, could you explain to people how
Yeah, I
hardcore
had a
you were?
commercial machine. So if any of you are coffee guys, I had an Electra A3, multiple grinders, like both flat burr and conical grinders, because you got to be able to know what beans take best to a conical or a flat burr. And the machine was like, had to be to a dedicated 20 amp breaker. And I was telling JT, like when I quit drinking coffee basically a little while ago and then killed it, our power bill went down by $100 a month because it was
Oh,
on that 20 amp breaker running 24/7.
now that's
So
a
yeah,
how did you kick such a serious love for coffee?
that's the strange thing. Like it's really funny because everybody that watches the videos I have always gets on me like, oh, why should I quit coffee? I don't need to quit coffee. Oh, coffee's okay. And I keep saying, look, listen to me. I'm saying, try to quit and see if you notice a difference and decide what to do. And then if you're doing carnivore, try again in 1 year,
Mm-hmm.
see what happens. And maybe at year 2, maybe at year 3, maybe you'll be fine drinking coffee for life. But when I hit year 2, I had this insane ability to just quit. And I tried when I first started, and I tried a year in, and I've tried other times. And you get the typical coffee withdrawals, headaches, the desire for it. Everybody knows what the coffee withdrawals and headaches are like. And this time I quit, and there was nothing. I just quit, and it never came. And it was the most bizarre thing as a coffee drinker, if you guys know this, that you had nothing come up of it. But within a week, I was sleeping way better. I was actually getting up before my alarm clocks. Like this morning, I actually looked at my watch and it's like, oh, it's, like 5:10 and my alarm set to 5:30. And I actually get up before that with the sun. And my sleep was better and my recovery was better. So like when I'm doing, work or riding the bike hard, I have no recovery issues. It's just amazing. It's
Oh,
just everything is better. And it was this huge jump. And it never happened till all of a sudden I quit that. And I just think it's like carnivore heals you at some point. And I've heard Dr. Chafee talk about long-term healing basically at like cell levels. And I don't know. Like I said, one day I'm sure I'll get a chance to talk to him, on a stream or something. And I think there is something to that,
mhm,
because again, I'd done the keto thing for so long. So I was kind of out of some of that junk, but besides the keto junk, and I think just that accumulative time heals a person so they can do it.
mhm,
My analogy is this. Not everybody might notice it. I'm not into music. We were talking a little bit about music and I had friends in some pretty big groups. I can't hear the difference of a guitar. If it's I might be able to hear a $25 guitar, but if it was like a $100 guitar versus a 500 versus a 5,000, I couldn't tell the difference. Now, if you could, does that mean it's not there that I can't? Does that make sense? You know, I mean, just because I can't tell the
Yeah.
difference doesn't mean that the value of what is in there is not.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying this from a person that could sense the difference of the coffee, that it might be worth trying because
Mhm.
what you get out of it was huge.
Yeah, you got a new
That's, I think,
awareness
the best
on how
analogy
you
to
feel
use.
without it. So, how did you
Yeah.
wean yourself off of the coffee?
I just quit. I just basically, like, when I was trying to quit before, I would just cold turkey it and just stop and just go through the worst week of my life, you know, but then I would force myself to be clean of it for at least 1 month. And I noticed nothing. Like, this is like when I first started, right? And then, like, the first year I did the same thing. I just quit cold turkey, forced myself, and nothing. So I would just, you know, have that willpower to do it. And then that second time on, or the third time on the second year, I guess it was, when I did it, I just quit. And it was so strange because, like I said, I woke up and there was absolutely nothing there. Like, there was no withdrawals, no nothing.
No headaches?
And I, no headaches, nothing. And I was thinking, okay, tomorrow's going to be really horrible. I'm going to get hit viciously hard tomorrow, and it just
Yeah,
never happened.
it's amazing. Yeah, what would you say to someone who's like on the fence, like about starting carnivore? Like they maybe think that there's going to be long-term health effects or something.
I would say look at Kelly Hogan, you know, look her up. She's been doing it what, like 13 years. Rick Mopar,
Yes,
you know,
yes.
40
40 years.
years, 40 years. You know, it's like there's people out there. I've been doing it 3.5. Baker's been doing it 5. Chafee's been on and off different parts of his life, but I think he's been back on it again for like 5. And he did it for something stupid like 10 before. Not stupid bad, stupid good. You know, and look at those dudes. You know, they're animals,
Yeah.
you know. So that's kind of how I say that.
Bible reading bear here says drinking decaf, but each day it seems I'm drinking less. My friend Bear Pelagic Bear makes awesome roasted beans. Nice, nice, nice.
Nice.
Something about Jimi Hendrix. If I hear Jimi Hendrix, I know the difference. There you go. B Dog, love Jimmy. Yeah, Jimmy's a bomb. Purple Haze. Yeah, you guys are big Jimmy fans, ain't you? Wow, they got all of them here. All the hits.
You know, it's here's a funny little story. My boy goes in Phoenix. Alice Cooper has a school for kids, you know, for music,
Mm-hmm.
right? So some of you guys that are older definitely know Alice Cooper, and he's a really cool guy. He's actually really big Christian and stuff now. So he does these things, and he has all these, like, it's a wild complex, you know, wild school for art and music and everything else. And the other day, when I was asking my kid, I'm like, "Oh, do you ever see him in there?" And he was like, "Oh yeah, Alice came in and was saying hello and hanging out and stuff." And it's just so funny because you're my 14-year-old boy, just like, "Oh yeah, Alice was in," you know. And you think of
Mm-hmm.
Alice Cooper like that, and
Yeah.
he's just like, "Oh yeah, he came in," you know, just whatever
Yeah,
kind
because
of
they don't
thing.
he doesn't know him like you do,
No,
like
no. And I showed him some videos of him, and he's like, "Yeah, they've shown some stuff like that there," you know. And it's just so funny because there's just such this disconnect, you know.
yeah.
But it's pretty cool though.
Yeah,
I
that's
like
cool.
guys like that gave back so much because he really gives back to the community, man. The dude's awesome.
I think that's everybody should give back, and that's why I'm glad that
Yeah.
people like carnivores like you are coming on here and sharing your story and
Yeah.
giving back. And you know,
Well,
and if
I
you
think it's
guys
even
got
like you
any
doing
questions for
this,
Chad, put them in the comments while he's
and
here.
even like
Like,
you doing this, like, you know, you've got this experience somebody can relate to. I might have something they can relate to. I've got maybe good long 3.5 years term, and I've kind of already hit my plateau and been there. So people can go, is, like you said, is it going to be safe for this long term? You know, if
hmm
somebody had that question when you were posing that, yeah, I can say, look at me at this point where I've maintained this with ease, and I'm never hungry, never have issues. I've never been sick since that, except for the COVID thing, which was a big nothing.
yeah,
And that was a funny one. That's when I got sick. It was my wife's birthday. And again, I have 1 or 2 bites of whatever my, you know, kids and my wife is having. And I'm like, I can't taste it. Uh-oh. So then I'm like, get the vinegar. You know what I mean?
hmm
So I'm like, oh no, I can't smell it. And they're like, no, can't taste it. By the time I got tested, it just felt like I did some good workout. Like I wasn't sore. I just felt like I worked out my upper body, then my lower body the next week. It was on a Friday that it happened. So Saturday was my upper body, Sunday was my lower body.
hmm
By the time I went to get tested, and I asked the doctor, And whatever you want to think about ivermectin, I didn't get the jab thing because, again, I was already a year into this and extremely healthy and thinking this is going to save me. And it did, I think. So I'm like, well, here's the thing. I know I had a past lung issue, so I'm a little bit nervous. Can you prescribe me? I'd like to get a thing of albuterol and a thing of QVAR 80 because I know my meds and I know my stuff, my medical.
Mhm.
And he's like, well, how'd you know that? And I go, well, that's what they used to do for, stuff in the islands when I had my problem, and I used to do some medic first aid stuff. So could you prescribe me that? And could you get me a prescription of ivermectin? And that ivermectin, man, he just looked at me like, you don't want to take that horse garbage stuff. What are you talking about? You're just a nut go. Well, and he just like went off on me. And about 2 minutes later, when he was asking me what my diet is,
Mm-hmm.
and I said, I only eat meat. You could just tell in his head, it confirmed I asked for ivermectin and I only eat meat. I was a complete loon. I mean, you could imagine a doctor like that from that point of view.
What does your doctor say about your diet?
I don't have a regular one. When I get bad, I'll go in. And like for the operation, I went in and luckily the Mayo Clinic is local to me. So when I had my operation, and if you guys know, the Mayo Clinic is some of the best clinics in the world. So I went in the Mayo Clinic and talked to them, and that's been about it. And the one time I had to have some kind of blood work or something that I did, and I can't remember what that was about. But
Sean says, Chad, are you on Facebook?
I'm not. I was with my photography stuff, but no, I'm not, and I'm not sure I'm going to join.
What
I
social
have one for
medias
my
are you on,
photography.
Chad? If for people that
I am
want
on
to follow
Twitter
you.
and Instagram, but not very active on it. I'm just going to be really active on Facebook, and I might use Twitter just to try to just 3 of them are kind of overwhelming. But so Instagram and Twitter and the YouTube, and they're linked from my YouTube account. But I'll be focusing on the YouTube mainly, I think. Never say never. Not saying I wouldn't get back on. I'll just see right now. And right now I'm just, trying to learn everything I am on YouTube already.
Oh, you're doing great, dude. I
Yeah.
honestly, I
Well, the
was
growth
just
has been kind of overwhelming because I'm wholeheartedly loving it, and I'm honestly 100% into this to respond to every single person.
hmm Yeah,
And like with
you
the one
guys,
video
Chad is
having 70,000, that's a
he's
lot of
reachable.
responses.
Yeah, it
You know,
is. It is.
yeah,
But Chad is he's one of these guys that's why he's on here. He's here to help and answer questions, and so
I'm
we still
passionate about it, man.
we still got time here. So make sure you guys got any questions for Chad, make sure you put them down here in the comments. But I want to keep going on. Let's talk about your YouTube channel for a bit.
Yeah.
Um, what are some long term goals for the channel? Anything you can give us a foreshadowing of?
Um, like I said, the working out, I'm gonna try to. It's funny because I never wore a shirt for 20 years of my life working on the boats.
I could tell in
But
that
now I just
photo.
at 60 don't really like taking off my shirt for photos. I'm pretty good on loose skin actually, and I think what I'm going to do is just suck it up, take a photo, kind of show it, just say, hey, here's where I'm at. I've been doing a little bit of working out, but it's like a week, so there's really nothing going yet. And just say, hey, here's my plan. Just let's see what happens, and you guys can kind of watch the growth and go with it. So I think just getting active. And it was really like one of those things that I wanted to do for a long time, shoulda, coulda, woulda, but I'm here now. So it's just giving back and kind of helping people because I wish I had the help. Again, like that one video, the stuff I had back then was pretty garbage help. Nowadays, it's so good. And like we've talked about this community that all these other smaller channels are doing, getting together. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like former Fat Girl, Nicole, and stuff, and Alia, and obviously like Dave Mack, and like all these other people. And, what I mean? The whole thing, like your other guys' groups, the Cookout, you know what I mean? All those
Keto
guys.
Cookout.
And it's cool because those guys even are like in different states. And I'll have to come on there one time for fun. I think Alia said that. But like, Russ is like in a state where he's just starting.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully he'll stick with it and let's see where he goes because he's a big boy. And if he can start losing this, people can go, dude, I can relate to this guy because I'm right where he is. Mm-hmm. They look at me and go, well, dude, you're already skinny. You've been skinny for years, so whatever. And I think that's important. I think that's important to be able to connect with somebody, whatever it's for. Like, hey,
Yeah.
I used to dive. I can connect with Chad because, scuba stuff. What, even if it's just something simple like that.
Mhm.
And those are the things. And I keep telling people, even on my thing, man, like reach out, you know?
Yeah, definitely reach out to Chad, reach out to me,
Yeah, and just reach out, and it's like
we're
intentional
here to help.
carnivore, obviously, like Sean, you know what I mean? Like, look at his story. 280, what is he? Like 284, 100 pounds down now? I think he's at 284 down now.
Incredible, man.
It's insane, you
And
know?
everybody can get their results, whatever their results look like, you
Yeah.
know? And, so what's your journey on YouTube so far? Has it been mostly, positive people, or have you getting
Yeah,
some
I've only had a
haters?
couple. I've only had a couple, you
Yeah.
know. One guy said I looked really, I don't know. He goes, all the other carnivores look super healthy. You just look like garbage or something like that. He's like, you don't look good and healthy. You look really sick. And I just said, thanks for caring. I
Yeah,
appreciate it. But
yeah.
I think I look pretty good for a dude who's 60.
Oh, you do.
And I said something else, and I kind of left it at that. And I had a couple, I think I've only stopped two people. One guy spammed like 40 times, like, you're a bunch of murdering sicko wackos that kill, things. And I banned him. Then one other guy that came on, I just said, well, when you actually look up the Audubon Society, 67 million birds were killed. Look up rodenticides and how many, things die. Nobody gets off this rock alive. No animals get off it alive.
Yeah, it's
And there's a ton of
true
stuff
though.
killed everywhere, unfortunately. And in nature, things get killed. It's just part of life. So
Mhm.
don't get up on your little like, oh, I'm so superior. And I left that thing, and then I lit a match. You know what I mean? He just went off. So I'm just like, not even bothering. And I don't have that kind of attitude. I really try to have this laid back island attitude of like, if they want to say something like the one about me not looking good, I just left it in there. I left a couple others. As long as they're not vulgar and as long as they're not doing something stupid, I'll leave it in there because, you
Just
know,
shows their character, like,
yeah.
you're doing great, and I think if anybody is like you get a family member or a person around you who's I don't it doesn't work on carnivore, not carnivore, or starting carnivore, like, just don't let, the haters get to you because we know 1 plus 1 equals 2, not 5. You know yourself.
Like I said, man, you work in tourism like I did.
Mhm.
I would see 125 people come across my face every day, and you're always going to have one or two that are just, idiots. And you just really learn to let it slide off your back and just kind
You
of laugh
gotta.
at them. And, like, you would have a few people sometimes diving that would just be like there was one. Here was a good story for you people. I was diving, and we'd always have like one diver down and one diver up for the snorkelers because we always have snorkelers on the boat. And I was down diving with my divers, and we were on it was about a 70 some foot catamaran. And the amas, or the holes, you guys would call them, the ama of the boat
Mhm.
is high. They're like 6 feet high. You're not getting up on the side of it. You got to go around the stairs. And of course, it's just Maui, beautiful open water. So I'm down there and I'm watching. And I'm like, okay, I see this lady trying to climb up the boat on one side. And on the other side is Jim, who's on a board trying to help other snorkelers. And I'm with my divers down here about 35 feet. And I see her climbing. And then all of a sudden she stops climbing and starts sinking.
Oh.
So I'm like, okay. So I kind of pointed my divers and I kind of did this like, just swim around in this circle. And I go get her, bring her up. And I used to be in the fire department and used to do some medic stuff. So I'm pretty good with that stuff.
Mhm.
And got her up aboard, got her going again. She was out, and put her on oxygen because, she was basically, she had what they call a near drowning. Because if you drown, you don't come out of drowning. Drowning is when you actually die from it. A near drowning, you can basically be revived
Mm.
and then you're okay. So she had a near drowning incident, massive amount of water in her lungs, pretty bad. So I put her on oxygen. I'm going to get you fired. I'm going to get you fired. You're never going to work for this company again. You embarrassed me by keeping me on oxygen. And she just went off on me. And all these people were coming up like, oh my God, you just saved her life,
Yeah, I
and she
bet.
wanted to fire you. So somebody on YouTube telling me like I don't look good, I'm used to those kind of people. And needless to say, when I got back, our manager was there and he's like, I think you should be, thanking Chad for saving your life." And all these other people on the boat were like, "Yeah, what's your problem?" And they just went off on her. That's what was cool. Is all the people on the boat were like, you know,
Stories from the boat, man.
dude, I ran into stuff like that all the time. And
You're
you
even
you run
talking
into
about,
people.
Lewis and Clark on the boat, and, they were talking about fatty meats and stuff, and
Oh, on that video I was doing, yeah.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I you guys should let's pull up his channel one more time here, 'cause, I gotta get rolling
That fatty
soon.
meat thing was interesting. The Lewis and Clark thing was interesting because you think about on their journey, I think it was like 1,228 days, if I remember correctly. They're looking for optimum nutrition and optimum stuff. And of course, what they're writing is a very, they don't, what they're recording is important. It's important enough to put in these journals if you think about it that way. It's
Mhm.
100% important for that. And they
Yeah,
recorded so much about fatty meats that I think they mentioned, as I said, something like 252 times. It was such a huge deal that they mentioned it. And when they would shoot a buffalo, and sometimes it would be this language of like, you know, we aimed these buffalo and I thought them lean, but they were not. So we just took the marrow, bone, and tongue,
hmm.
and I love the way they wrote it, of course.
Yeah, it's very
So even when
poetic
they would get
about their
lean
meat.
meat, they would just take the marrow, basically the marrow bones, and make a soup out of it.
Wow.
And if you think about that, that's a pretty huge thing that we're on the right track with this fatty meat because those guys were even leaving the stuff and just taking the marrow and the fatty parts.
Mhm.
And the fact that they would mention all this stuff about fatty meat, and then a few times, they would mention, I forgot what exactly how they worded it, but like, I could care less for the bread, give me fatty meat. You could tell what
Yeah,
their priorities were.
right. Well,
So
Chad,
yeah.
I've had a great talk with you. I definitely wanna,
Yeah.
have you on here again. We'll keep doing some
Yeah, for
update
sure.
videos over the time. You guys make
We'll
sure you
reverse it and
subscribe.
pick your brain and find out about
Yeah,
you.
put me on the grill next. Put some char marks on me.
Yeah.
That's fine with me.
Yeah.
Minimalist Carnivore. Make sure you check it out. And like I always say, there's value in the replay. There's value in Chad. And there's value in his story. So make sure you go back and listen.
And
Sometimes
thanks
you'll
everybody obviously too for showing up.
yes. Sometimes your mind will drift, and so make sure you replay and get all the info. He's answered a lot of very great questions and given a lot of really cool info. And he does give a lot of cool info on a regular basis. So subscribe. And Chad, I had a pleasure. You're going to be coming
Yeah,
back and
me
chatting
too.
with carnivores,
I
right?
got to get better about reading the chat.
Me too. I'm getting there. And then hopefully we'll
I'm
see you on the
learning.
24-hour live stream, record
Yep.
breaking. Cool.
Yep.
Cool. All right, guys. That's what we got. We'll see you on the next
Yep.
one. Peace out,
Take
guys.
care.
Yep. See you in the